Hello, and welcome to Well, There's Your Problem. It's a podcast about engineering disasters with slides.
Why are people talking in the background of our podcast?
I was about to say.
Because Corinne asked me if I was excited to record as we were
Hi,
recording.
Corinne.
Hi, Corinne.
Man, I really turned on a dime there. It's just I like her so much. I'm just like, who the fuck? Hi.
Hello, and welcome to Well, There's Your Problem podcast. It's a podcast about engineering disasters with slides. I'm Justin Rosniak. I'm the person who's talking right now. My pronouns are he and him. Okay, go.
I am Alice Corvo-Kelly at time of recording. Pronouns are she and her. Person who's talking now, yay, Liam.
Yeah, Liam. Hi, my name is Liam Anderson. My pronouns are he, him. I can also hear people in the background of my podcast.
Do you want to go and yell at them, like really audibly? Do you want to like get up and like go scream?
Yeah, just start screaming.
Yeah, we'll work around. Leave all of this in, by the way, because this has been great.
Yeah, this has been
comic.
fun.
Yeah.
No, I don't think I will.
God invented noise gates for a reason. And we have a guest.
Hi, I'm Tom. My pronouns are they, them now because I got in a fight with my brain and lost.
Hell yeah.
But glad to be here.
Thanks for coming on. Why are you here? Why are we looking at this shitty
Tell us.
landscape?
Because this is a railroad that arguably shouldn't have been built because it was so dumb.
Oh, fantastic.
Outstanding.
Yeah, what you see on the screen here are two boxcars, which are on a slope so terrible that no one has figured out how to salvage and recover them since like 1970.
Oh,
They belong to the hill now, you know?
Yes.
Yeah,
And like give it like 10,000 years, and future archaeologists, the same ones who are going to misgender me, they're going to be like, clearly this was like the site of a great battle. These were like sort of like war steeds, which have been like buried with honor.
They were war steeds and somehow part of a fertility ritual.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So like the story behind those cars is like a couple of times like engineers would throttle up too quickly through this stretch of railroad and just stringline the train and just yeet freight cars into the abyss.
Oh,
so like
fantastic.
there's these two here near the track, and there's a Coors reefer down at the bottom of the gorge.
Like you can't get your beer because fuck you. It's go get it. It's
They got the beer. They sent guys down to take all the beer out of it.
Amazing.
Yeah, and they got 30% of that beer back. Everyone's trucks driving away from the work site, riding really low to the ground.
Leave the freight car, take the beer.
Take the beer. Yeah, today we're going to talk about the Impossible Railroad, the San Diego and Arizona Railroad, an extremely stupid railroad for a stupid purpose. But first, we have to do the goddamn news.
Every day, shit is getting dumber.
Yeah.
What's everyone think about X?
It's stupid.
Are
you
you
it's
Xing?
stupid.
Did you send out any X's
Why
today?
You ask? Shut up.
I don't want to like zeet. I don't want to rezeet. I don't want to know that someone rezeeted my zeet. I hope someone Elon Musk with a. I genuinely there is no other way out of this. So a man who has been court ordered to buy and like run Twitter is now doing his best to run into the ground by renaming it to X.
Yes.
Which is the real like Gabbo thing, you know?
It's just embarrassing to use now, like in public. You're like, oh my God. Oh, come on, Milkshake. Don't do that.
Milkshake is signing you up for an X premium.
Imagine that credit card statement.
Yeah. Milkshake
okay.
has fully like compromised the podcast to a temporary end there. Like sort of cat sabotage.
Yes, Milkshake is not a fan of X.
Well, the rest among us.
Yeah. No, it's just embarrassing that, it's like, okay, it's X now. That's funny for like a week. I don't know, but it's gonna keep being X. And it's just
Forever,
like,
yeah.
now I'm like, I don't want people to see I have this on my phone. Like if I'm out in public, it's like this is just embarrassing to be around.
I have a simple
the
policy
blower
here.
has ruined us all.
Yeah. I have a simple policy here, which is that for as long as Elon Musk refuses to correctly name his daughter, I will refuse to correctly name his website.
We're dead naming Twitter.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Biologically, it is twitter.com, right?
TWTTR.
Yeah,
Twitter.
you will never be an x.com, right? And he's been trying for like years. He tried to make PayPal into x.com, and he got shit canned from PayPal for that. So
yeah, the only thing you learn from that is get rid of the board so that they can't do that again.
Yeah, when you have an idea that's like too dumb for Peter Thiel, like, and you have to do it yourself, that's a bad sign.
Uncharted territory, yeah.
Speaking of bad signs,
I the one thing which has been interesting about this ordeal so far is Elon's war against the permitting department in San Francisco, whatever they call it, their equivalent of licenses and inspections.
Yeah.
Where it's like, I'm going to take down the sign. You can't actually take down the sign. They had to send cops to stop him from doing that. And then he's like, well, we're going to put up a big X sign on top of the building, right? And this was interesting because there are a couple of videos out there where it was like, this is clearly something which is going to give someone an epileptic fit.
Oh yeah, it beamed like really like irregularly and in different directions, in a really obnoxious way. And those are apartments opposite Twitter's building. So if you paid like your insane San Francisco property prices for like a condo or whatever, if you paid many dollars, your view was Elon Musk sort of like flashbanging you Rainbow Six style every minute of every nighttime.
And they put this sign up real quick with like temporary stuff, and they held it down with sandbags because, that's
Jesus Christ.
Fine.
Yeah, I could have built this better with connects.
we very nearly missed out on. We could have had Elon Musk getting killed Hitman style by his own X sign landing on him outside of his building.
Another entry to list of people killed by their own inventions there. This is actually a lot of people were pointing out the sandbag thing. This is actually a fairly common way to put down temporary equipment, which is where you don't want to penetrate the roof membrane. But usually you would use more sandbags than this for something of this size.
Well, he got the cheapest guys available.
Right.
He got the cheapest logo available, where he was just like, he just tweeted out, hey, can anyone design me a logo? Second, third richest man in the world. Can anyone design me a logo?
I didn't even design a logo. He just used the weird Unicode thing.
Yeah.
The other thing is the San Francisco building department tried to gain access to the property multiple times, and Twitter just said no.
What's he building in there? What the hell is he built? What's he doing?
Fisto Roboto.
Something stupid.
Something real stupid. Like, what are you up to in there, man? What's going on?
They have now taken down the X sign. I think it was just like he wanted to get some publicity photos and maybe kill some epileptics. But
yeah, for sure. I mean, on the grand scale of his misdeeds, this ranks pretty low, but it's like, to me, the most sort of like typical of them in a lot of ways. Like, I saw that video of the thing just like flashing into like some guy's condo, some guy's like $3 million condo, and it just like filled me with rage in a way that I don't think I felt about a lot of Elon Musk stuff, because it just felt so him, condensed down into one object.
What's going on in there?
What?
That light!
Oh. Yeah, it's an X sign. It's right across from my window.
Can't you shut the shades?
They are shut.
One of the things is, this entire startup economy has historically been based on not getting permits, and this is one of the most flagrant not getting permits things that Elon has done. You know, no one's going to face any consequences. Someone's going to get like a $500 fine.
Yeah, it's going to turn out to be like the universal tree pruning thing, where it's just like, we all got very excited about it, and it turns out the answer is you get like as you say, a $500 fine. Yeah.
Yeah.
Didn't we just learn from the Ocean Gate thing why like you need permits and regulation and stuff on these things?
Elon Musk didn't.
Right, no, he wants to move fast and break things down.
I like thinking about
this
his death.
sign would have fallen over.
I mean, apparently the fight with Zuck is back on, so he might get his head from that.
The thing is, right, and this is not actionable because it's not a crime to say that you look forward to when someone dies. But I look forward to when he dies. But I spend a decent amount of time thinking about how, right? Because I think, like,
that's fair.
I would feel a little bit cheated if he died of something like quotidian, right? Like if he got the like Steve Jobs cancer or whatever, and tried to turn himself into an AI or some shit like that. I would feel cheated. I would feel bored by that. No, please.
I was gonna say it has to be like in a Tesla, in a tunnel, on a rocket, all of his stuff just like zeroing in on him.
We've been taught since the earliest days of like human storytelling that hubris like this has to be met with sort of like matching consequences. And like, okay, in real life it seldom has been, but like I have hope, and he's really doing his best to be like the first billionaire killed by his own shit, I would say.
Oh yeah.
If nothing else, he has the least amount of goodwill of I think anyone in the world right now.
Oh yeah,
that's true. Yeah.
No one has ever been this down bad.
That's true, but he's also like he is the Reddit equivalent, the human being equivalent of like when you set a Reddit thread to most controversial.
Oh yeah, that's true. I mean, there are a lot of people who also think he's going to save humanity, as opposed to what he's actually doing, which is being an asshole.
Yeah. But they're he's an asshole in a way that is saving humanity. It's like, no, he's not doing that.
No, he's not doing that. No, he's just making everything worse. And then I have to listen to people tell me what a genius he is. That all their Twitter handles end in .eth, and it's just like, hasn't this shit fucking sailed, asshole?
Chasing after the snake oil wagon leaving town.
Yeah.
At least he got the child pornography off of Twitter, except for the child pornography that he allows.
Yeah. I mean, personally, I would say for myself, the amount of child pornography that I would allow is 0, but Elon disagrees with that.
I guess I'm just built different, right?
Yeah.
It's a little fuzzier of a number there.
Because of my principles and values, such as not being a pedophile, I believe that the acceptable amount of like child pornography on the internet or indeed anywhere is 0. Now, Elon Musk doesn't agree with that number, and I can't speculate as to why, but he,
Insert Ghislaine Maxwell photo here.
Please do, yes.
In other news, they did more Trump indictments.
The NYPD suit jacket is back.
It's back, baby.
We're gonna get a lot of mileage out of this photo. I'm reliably informed by libs that this means that the system works. That we should
such that it is
trust the Justice Department going forward on everything, and our democracy, your democracy, to be honest, is saved. Right?
Sure,
probably. We'll all, Trump will go to prison, and we'll all vote for RFK and have a very normal time.
I'm voting like split ticket, Marianne Williamson RFK.
Oh my God.
He's been Jack Smith, the federal prosecutor, like their Trump guy, has finally like hemmed him up, finally like pinched him on charges of doing the stuff we all saw him do, of trying to steal the election,
trying to steal the election.
And then lying about
very
it.
openly talking about doing election fraud and stuff like that.
Yeah, you gotta be discreet with that, man.
This guy does not have the grace and elegance of Lyndon Baines Johnson.
No. Slapping your dick on the table and just
No, so he's up for conspiracy to defraud the US and conspiracy to violate civil rights, both of which he has clearly done.
Yeah.
He's up in front of a judge
Not in
who
a good way.
does not like him and has sent every January 6th rioter before her to jail. Which is, I approve of that. That's cool.
That's
like the
pretty good.
carceral state when it does stuff like that.
Oh, Alice.
Listen, I don't like when the liberal state defends itself against the left, but I love when the liberal state defends itself against the right.
Yeah, okay.
And hoping for more of the same, hoping for a speedy trial, and I hope he has to run from prison, and then I hope he loses again. But what's really curious to me is like you get like
Right.
Vox
I do think it'd be
and stuff.
funnier if he won from prison.
That's also true.
That would be
we've mentioned
really
the
funny.
White House,
right?
The White House Penitentiary. Yeah. What strikes me though is that like his numbers are going up amongst Republicans. He's still like dead even with Biden overall. And you get all these Vox Pops in swing states where it's like, yeah, I actually think that they're like harassing him for like putting him on trial for the crimes that he did. And it's I wish I had people that ride or die for me.
Yeah, he's like the only viable Republican candidate is the thing. None of the other ones got any moxie.
And DeSantis this is the thing. Washed.
DeSantis is washed. That happened quick.
Yeah, I if they, because very few people I think have the amount of moxie that Trump does, but so he's just going to win that primary even if he is in prison. Which I hope I'm excited for. I'm very, very excited for this, as I've discussed on previous episodes.
This is the dumbest of all possible timelines, and they're for the best.
This country's so dumb.
Because like the worst possible timeline is they don't get any of the trials in before he like wins again, and he just like has his new attorney general just shut it all down. Right? That's the least satisfying one.
Yeah, that is the least satisfying one, which is probably okay. I guess that one could happen then. Yeah.
Yeah. The most satisfying one is he goes to prison, runs from prison, and loses. And somewhere in the middle is he goes to prison, runs from prison, and wins.
Also, you should get a bunch of prison tattoos.
Oh, yeah. Just come out there.
Just like the teardrop underwater.
Yeah. Because he killed Ron DeSantis.
Yeah.
Just like Trump coming out of prison with like a shitload of like Russian prison tattoos.
Yeah, exactly.
He's a vor now. He's like
we sent Trump to Russian prison somehow.
Yeah, because he loves Putin so much. We put him in prison in Russia.
Put him in Gulag. Yes.
Yeah,
bring
that's right.
Gulag back just for this.
We finally
joke.
did it. Yeah. We fucking So Trump's gonna
make
do
all
the
lib wet dreams come true, and it's just like Putin and Trump kissing, which is funny for some reason.
I mean, the thing is, right? If you remember that thing where he had one of his supporters like Photoshop his face onto like a wrestler or some shit like that, that sucked. What I want to see is Trump's face on Viggo Mortensen's character in the like bathhouse fight scene in Eastern Promises. Right?
Oh, great movie.
Yeah. We'll get you on Kill James Bond to talk about at some point. But yeah, so that's what I want to see happen. Thanks.
Yeah. Yes. So good luck to Donnie from Queens. And
Donnie from Queens got like jammed up by the feds.
Yeah. Anyway, that was the goddamn news.
Oh, it only took us 20 minutes this time.
I was about to say. Okay, so we have to ask a question. What is a transcontinental railroad?
Well, sometimes a continental railroad identifies in a way that differs.
Way better than a ciscontinental railroad.
Thank you.
That's ciscontinental. That is a thing. I mean, especially in like
well, any railroad down like one side of a continent is a ciscontinental
exactly.
railroad.
It goes from the mine to the port.
like cisalpine or whatever. It's like, yeah, of course, it doesn't cross anything.
That's your classic colonial railroad configuration.
But this is like also a colonial railroad, but in a different way.
In a different way, yeah. So transcontinental railroads, there were several of them. Of course, the most famous was the Central Pacific and the Union Pacific, which that was the first transcontinental railroad that Abraham Lincoln commissioned. These are sort of as much national projects as they are civic projects, because they were usually, you'd have a couple boosters from like a town on the West Coast who were like, we need a transcontinental railroad. Let's do it.
Yeah, because San Francisco was like, fuck being a port. We hate it, actually.
Yeah, exactly. They're funded by land grants. You can see on this slide these various land grants that were given to various railroads.
Basically, they sell off the real estate to farmers, I assume, and
Yeah, so you're
other
granted
mining
land
operations or something.
you're granted land in a checkerboard pattern.
Wow,
And this is what funds-
Iowa got fucked here.
Well, so
I like
this is
Michigan,
actually
not on the. Oh, I guess it's the Illinois set. No, what's going
someone's
on in
just done
Michigan?
like some coloring in Michigan. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Well, this is actually a map of land grants that could have theoretically occurred rather than those that actually did.
Okay.
So the actual amount of land granted in Iowa was much smaller than what's
Then
shown
the
here.
entire state as it appears on this map. Yes.
Railroad
this
states.
this was actually, I believe, derived from a I forget which party made this as a propaganda poster showing. It must have been the Democrats, how the Republicans have squandered the public land by granting it all to railroads. But this is not actually the land that was granted. This is sort of
What could have
land
been
that
granted?
would be
Some
been
great
granted.
political misinformation.
Yeah. And then you and then when you actually built the line, you got something that was like 10 miles each side of the actual railroad you built.
So not
again,
the
in a
entire state
checkerboard
of Iowa.
Well, I mean, listen, if Union Pacific wanted to build like a sort of like heptadeca, dodeca tract section that's like 15 miles wide, you know.
Well, the thing is, they did cheat the system like that. They like made the survey in one place that like bypassed a town. Thomas Durant bought up a whole bunch of land south of there and then changed the route to go south and left everyone on the original alignment to dry, and just he pocketed a shitload of money from that.
We love our railroad barons, don't we, folks?
And then like the Union Pacific and the Central Pacific, when they were supposed to meet at Promontory Summit, they actually started building past each other to get a little bit more land. Loop back around.
That's incredible. That's so funny.
The level of chicanery in especially the first two routes was unbelievable.
Say nothing of Credit Mobilier. But you know, this whole thing is funded off the free real estate system, right?
It's free real estate.
Yep.
We're such hacks.
Yeah. Terrible.
So there's one down here, an important one we're going to talk about a little bit. The Texas and Pacific, which went from Texas to Pacific.
Hey, I mean, from what I've learned from you about American railroads, it's a miracle it reaches either of those.
Yeah.
It didn't do that.
That's touching Texas, right? That's touching Texas.
Yeah, exactly. It is touching Texas.
Atlantic and Pacific not really living up to its name, I'll tell you that.
We got one, the other's a little bit opposite. It's a stretch goal, you know?
There's a little bit more in Missouri over here. So the Texas and Pacific was chartered to build to San Diego, right? And San Diego was notable in that they wanted a transcontinental railroad and they didn't really get one for a long time.
Being a port. We don't want to do it. We want to be a railroad town.
They got a pretty good natural harbor there.
Yeah, you got like, Navy SEALs like half drowning themselves doing sit-ups. You got like you can see some like some ships that the Navy's
hotels.
Like setting fire to. You can see like
Green Cheek Beer. There's a bunch of good breweries there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can see the railroad station, which is very pretty.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
You could ride the terrible streetcar, which is not very good.
Yeah.
You can go to the museum. You can learn that San Diego is Spanish for Saint Diego.
Thank you.
Tom, you wrote this note. Explain about the Big Four.
All right. So, with Sacramento and San Francisco getting the majority of port traffic over the Central Pacific, later the Southern Pacific, and with the Southern Pacific also building south through Central Valley to Tehachapi and then on east through Arizona and New Mexico as well, they saw San Diego as a competitor and basically did not want any of the transcontinental traffic to go through San Diego, because that would mean that it would go over competing lines.
Yeah, so there's a bunch of political chicanery here. But the real
So
big
this
political...
this is a like railroad conspiracy against the city of San Diego.
Pretty much, yeah.
It's like, fuck these guys particularly. And if this had gone the other way, it'd be like, Los Angeles and San Diego like reversed in prominence, which is a really funny idea.
Fuck you, Noah.
Yeah.
But they,
You're a Padres fan now.
But yeah, it is worth going into a little bit some of the political chicanery surrounding the Texas and Pacific Railroad, which was supposed to go to San Diego, which means we have to talk about Tom Scott.
I'm here in San Diego. I can't do a Tom Scott. I sound a little bit like him, but like
I'm here at the Texas and Pacific Railroad. No, we're talking about the other Tom Scott, right? Thomas A. Scott, president of the Pennsylvania Railroad.
Scrub got like way fewer numbers, you know. Probably doesn't even have a plaque.
He's not even on YouTube.
Ridiculous. I mean, number of YouTube channels by person. Tom Scott, like at least 2. This guy, as far as I can tell, none. Pathetic.
Pathetic. Very, very
Didn't
bad.
even know what YouTube was.
Yeah.
It's the worst website.
Boomer.
Yeah. He was the president of the Pennsylvania Railroad. He was the first non-engineer to hold that position.
He was a businessman.
Yeah, he was a schmoozer. He was very well spoken. He was good at getting government to do the things he wanted it to do, so he could do the thing he needed to do.
Well, as we've learned, being president of the Pennsylvania Railroad is a job that kills you instantly.
It kills you slowly over a long period of time. It does kill you, right? And the PRR presidency is a death sentence, but it doesn't mean he can't have some side hustles, right?
Well, I mean, you're basically kind of like a French king of the 18th century installed in like the eastern United States.
Yes. So one of them was to try and get his Texas and Pacific built, right? Because he became president of the Texas and Pacific shortly after it was chartered. But he runs into a problem, which is he doesn't have enough money to do it, and the government doesn't want to lend him money to do it except through the land grants, right?
See, you or I would consider these problems to be insurmountable, right? Like
not this guy.
No,
not our friend Tom Scott, who decides
that's why he's president and we're not.
Yeah.
He's the Pennsylvania president. Yes, quite literally. So in the meantime, Reconstruction is going on. This is the 1870s, right? The Southern economy is in shambles. The election of 1876 went sideways. There were contested electors, which ensured that neither candidate had a clear majority. And Tom Scott sees this and he says, "Ooh, I can work some shit happen here," right? So he helps negotiate the Compromise of 1877. Southern Democrats would recognize Republican Rutherford Hayes in return for Southern Democrat appointments to the cabinet, the end of Union Army occupation of the South, the ability to do racism again, and infrastructure investments into the South's underdeveloped canal and railroad system, including specifically the Texas and Pacific.
Fantastic. He puts America into the big get along shirt.
Yes.
This is our get along shirt, and it's just William Tecumseh Sherman.
Yeah, exactly. So it worked. Rutherford Hayes became president. Southerners were allowed to be racist again. But the new government decided to not do the last thing, which was the infrastructure investment.
Did someone trust the federal government after you used it to end Reconstruction?
Oops.
That seemed foolish.
Imagine getting outplayed by like noted like chess master of the mind Rutherford B.
Hayes.
Ended Reconstruction and all I got was this lousy t-shirt.
Yeah.
It's a good old
lousy
t-shirt.
XXL
Yes.
We could not sell it, but I was possessed with a vision for a second. They were selling that as merch, and I'm like, who would buy? Why would? Who would?
Somebody would.
Just wearing my I-ended Reconstruction shirt to the.
You like your slop, don't you?
Buy our shit. You get nothing and we'll like it. Hogs.
Anyway, since there was no money, the Texas and Pacific couldn't really build outside the relatively flat terrain of Texas. It ended in El Paso.
Okay, that is in Texas at least. We're halfway there.
Scott's charter lapsed. The land grants dried up. No railroad went directly to San Diego, but instead the Southern Pacific snapped up those same land grabs and they built to Los Angeles.
Yeah, and all of a sudden it's fucking Sunset Boulevard and the Los Angeles that we know and love. Could have been San Diego instead, you know? Could have been a housing development there that took off and made movies, but
well,
what did we learn?
Absolutely nothing.
We learned nothing from this entire railroad. And so then, after Texas and Pacific goes under as far as not promising delivery of half of its name, San Diego does eventually get a rail connection by the California Southern, which was later the Atchison, Topeka, and Santa Fe. But this is really just a branch line. They ran really small, light trains between San Diego and LA. So really, San Diego just became like an appendix within the larger transcontinental system.
It kind of stayed that way, which is grim. Like, you make these
Grim
decisions in like the 1870s as a way of like getting Rutherford Hayes elected president, and the result of it is that like San Diego is now a boring place to visit.
Yeah,
San Diego's nice. I like San Diego.
This open car though. This is really nice.
I'm willing to be in one of those situations where someone like micro famous says something insulting about a place, and then the Chamber of Commerce or the mayor or whatever is like, actually we don't suck dick here. Please take like a free vacation and see all of our stuff luxury style. I'm willing to be
like
persuaded.
San Diego.
That'd be nice.
Don't ask them where the Chargers went.
I'm working an angle here. I'm working a
she's working an angle.
Yeah, just leave me to San Diego. Dog shit. Absolutely no interest in visiting. I am able to be convinced.
For horrible people.
That's right. Yes, I don't think there's like any destinations there that I would go to, like unless it was like free.
Yeah, please don't put me in the big hotel by the coast.
Long Beach, you are also on notice.
Yeah, but at least with the California Southern reaching San Diego, that at least opened up, Pandora's box ever so slightly to where they could start having local lines that served, regional communities. You got a whole bunch of these like itty bitty little Porter saddle tank locomotives with open-sided cars that just look absolutely horrifying. But
this looks fantastic given the weather. I would be pretty happy in this actually.
You just get sandblasted, kind of.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah. Well, that's a big misconception we're going to cover in this ep. Everyone thinks, San Diego's weather is perfect, or some say it doesn't have weather. We'll get to that.
Yeah.
But basically, these small railroads start sprawling out around San Diego, the San Diego and Southeastern, the National City and Otay. There was a proposal for a 3-foot gauge narrow gauge railroad to build from San Diego east over Warner Pass.
Wow.
Which would have been wild.
That's like sort of like if you scaled up like all of the little Welsh heritage railways, the little like tiny narrow gauge ones that just go like up and down valleys and stuff.
Oh, like the Fistiniog and all that?
Yeah. Just like what if you did that like 10 times longer?
Arguably a narrow gauge would have been better suited to the terrain, but they ended up changing last minute to doing standard gauge in order to avoid issues of transloading and all that.
It's a shame because I find a narrow gauge whimsical is the main thing about
they're whimsical.
them. Yeah.
Right until you go careening into the valley and you are stuck there with
pretty whimsical too.
Like, that's true.
But the San Diego, Cuyamaca, and Eastern changing to standard gauge ultimately sealed its fate. It never got further east than a town called Foster, and wasn't able to go into the mountains at all, basically.
Yeah, I mean, the thing about like dying in a narrow gauge train accident is it's a little bit like getting shot in a Wes Anderson movie. You're like, yeah, okay, you're still dying and it still sucks, but you're like, imbued with an air of whimsy about it that really kind of like, I would imagine takes the sting out of it.
The fucking island of Sodor type situation,
It's like I'm dying, but at least it's in a really nice Jackson and Sharp coach.
Yeah.
But so other than these little feeder routes, there still wasn't any promise of something to the east until John Spreckles comes into the scene.
Spreckles, yeah.
Incredible name on this guy, first of all.
John Diedrich Spreckles, which is spelled Died Rich, which I always thought was funny. And
the Spreckles part is honestly so baby girl, like genuinely. And like he sounds like a My Little Pony. and then you've just got the like John Diedrich stuck on the front of it.
So Spreckles got his money from his father, Klaus Spreckles' sugar plantation empire.
sorry.
Really funny names in this family.
Like brutal industrial exploitation on the Spreckles sugar plantation, but I can only picture it happening to Oompa Loompas is the problem.
Oh no.
John Spreckles, famous for his sprinkles from the sugar factory.
Yeah.
Yeah, they call him John hundreds and thousands across the pond.
San Diego businessmen are, kind of pissed they're not getting a railroad except by way of Los Angeles. San Diego's being left behind. It's an underdeveloped port. Its economy is dependent on links to the north and not to the east. And this was despite, some clear advantages with the natural harbor and so on and so on.
Yeah, they're like, what are we? The like less important city in Southern California, and everyone's like, yes.
Yeah. So John Diedrich Spreckles decided to take matters into his own hands. He was going to finance his own railroad with blackjack and hookers, right? And it would proceed directly east from San Diego to connect with the Southern Pacific at Yuma, Arizona, thereby providing freight and passengers away to the city without having to change trains in Los Angeles and providing an alternative to the Atchison, Topeka, and Santa Fe, the California Southern, which at this point had a monopoly, right? Spreckles incorporated the railroad in secret since other railroads like to block this stuff. Right?
Ooh, secret railroad.
Yeah. Did we lose Liam?
Liam,
are you there?
Liam.
There was a headline in San Diego Union, December 14th, 1906. Railroad from San Diego to Yuma is now assured.
Oh, that broke the secrecy. Like,
yeah.
Hey, you're back.
Oh, you're back.
Yeah, I saw Liam's last tweet. He said, "I'm fine. I have good thoughts. I'm not thinking of building a railroad east from San Diego."
Oh, I am.
This is what Gaddafi was doing. Right before he died, Gaddafi was like planning to build a railroad from San Diego to Yuma.
Yes.
What? Stop trying to build the cursed route. We keep saying it. It says in big flashy letters, "This is the cursed route."
I have information that will lead to the construction of a railroad between San Diego and Yuma.
Instantly doomed.
Yeah. So this guy is Spreckles over here, but he has a friend who's helping him. Edward Henry Harriman, who is this walrus guy over here.
Two men.
I feel like I know this name. Do I know this name from somewhere else?
He was in charge of the Union Pacific and Southern Pacific at this time, right?
Perfect haircut, apart from anything else.
Yeah.
Jamie wants big railroad.
So Harriman had just visited the Imperial Valley as part of his supervision of the containment of the brand new and rapidly growing Salton Sea.
It's going to turn out great. It's going to be a Californian Riviera. The thing about California is it doesn't have a bunch of beautiful coast already. What we need is a giant mosquito swamp.
What we need is a Salton Sea.
Yeah.
And he's like, okay, maybe having a direct route from Tidewater to the Imperial Valley.
He did like the Brigham Young thing where he's like, this is the place to build like a shitload of meth labs.
Yeah.
But also that weird soda place that has dirty sodas, because what I want in my sodas is, of course, milk.
Yeah.
It's a weird state.
So he thought, maybe we should invest in this thing, having a direct route to Tidewater from the Imperial Valley, which had a lot of farms and irrigation and stuff like that. Very good soil would be a good idea. It'd be quicker than the existing route by way of Los Angeles. There had been some surveys for this route that had been done previously. So, there was some work you could build on here. San Diego was finally going to get its route to the east.
We'll see about that. Before California did imperialism on the whole rest of the U.S., it had to do imperialism on itself, and it started with Los Angeles assuring its regional dominance.
The Imperial Core is just like stone brewing, just like frying.
I think about this a decent amount because Fallout New Vegas embedded itself in my head at a very early age, and so now I just think about California as a like plausible regional power all the time.
Yes.
So yeah.
It's not crazy.
One thing to consider as we go through this whole thing is the state of railroad engineering in 1906, right?
That was good.
I assume it's
Um,
very bad. Is it very bad or
Better
just
than
kind
it
of
was.
It's
Wow. Okay.
It's much better than it was. Yeah.
Okay,
So
but that's like okay.
your late 1800s railroad is an awful thing. You got wooden trestles and trusses and so on and forth. You got tight curves, very slow speeds, no signals, train control devices, really bad track. By the early 1900s, you actually start to have experiments with things like um, automatic electric signals, automatic train stop. Railroads are investing heavily into improving main lines, improving structures, straightening curves, building expensive cutoffs to bypass the worst of the old engineering, like the Lackawanna cutoff here that was finished 1916. Um, you had main lines that were as wide as 6 tracks.
Wow.
Four was more common. You had stuff was being designed for speeds of up to 100 miles an hour. Grades were the ruling grade, the maximum incline. They were lowering those. They were building really big tunnels. Not all railroads were capable of such large investments, but the bar had been raised at this point. A new railroad in 1906 was going to be much better than rinky dink stump from 1880, right?
Huh. An age of possibility and optimism.
Yes.
And then what happened?
Yeah, I'm just like, man, imagine doing that now. Crazy.
Right,
Yeah.
insane.
You had competition from automobiles and trucks on the horizon. Not even just on the horizon. There were already cars, and they were already putting a dent into stuff at this point. You had your electric interurban railroads were also taking business away. So the standard of engineering in 1906 was pretty high. For your big mainline railroad. So
The SD&A was not that.
It was not that.
Okay, it goes into Mexico.
Yeah. Yes. So the surveyors go out and look at the route, and it became very clear that it was not going to be that kind of operation.
Yeah.
Yeah, direct route east immediately goes south of the border.
Immediately goes south of the border. There were a couple routes.
Outstanding.
There were a couple of routes that were surveyed. There were 2 that were all in the United States. There was one that wasn't, but appeared much cheaper. So Spreckles went down to Mexico City, got a charter for the Ferrocarril Tijuana y Tecate S.A. de CV. I don't know what S.A. de CV is.
Probably like Associated Society or Society of Associates of something, but like SA is just like a corporate thing.
No.
I'm not actually. I can't like be snide about the pronunciation because I can't roll my R's. There's fully a Spanish letter or letter form I cannot pronounce, which is physically I cannot do it. It's like I have a speech impediment in Spanish, but not in English, and so I cannot pronounce the word ferrocarril correctly because it's got 2 of those in it.
It's okay. Despite being half Puerto Rican, I can't roll my R's either.
Oh, Tom, buddy. I also probably can't roll my R's. I don't know why.
Give it a go. Give it a go. Say ferrocarril.
Ferrocarril.
Ferrocarril Tijuana y Tecate.
That's better than mine.
Nope, not. No, I'm gonna embarrass the entire nation of Mexico. That's what Raj is for.
I think this would have been cool though. Like I'm generally in favor of like more railroads in Mexico on the basis that I'm in favor of railroads and I'm in favor of Mexico.
Yes.
I wholeheartedly agree, Alice.
Yeah.
You would love AMLO and his
I mean, I don't love the like genocide and I don't love the like sort of military patronage. But I like there being trains in Mexico. I think that's a positive thing in general.
What is neat about this route and sort of this era is that like international travel was much more lax.
Oh, your handwritten passport, yeah.
And just, you could have a world where like, oh, the railroad just will dip into Mexico a bit and everyone's just kind of fine with it.
Well, it's not a very logical border. It's like quite geographically inconvenient in a lot of places. It makes sense.
And actually, this has the unique distinction of Tunnel 4 between Tecate and Campo is the only international tunnel underneath the U.S.-Mexico border.
Huh. Well, the only legitimate one.
Yeah, well...
Don't you have a story about that, Tom?
I do, but I don't know if I should say it.
It's fine.
Screw it.
Statute of limitations is probably.
So, like, I grew up in San Diego. I explored this railroad and what was left of it all the time. I was briefly a member of the Model Railroad Club in San Diego, and I was out collecting photos and like dirt for, doing scenery stuff with stuff from the actual location. And so I'm like exploring the route, walking along the tracks, parked my F-150 somewhere and started, just collecting stuff. And I'm going through and I started walking through this tunnel. I was like, oh, this is neat. I could get really good reference inside. And then I remembered what tunnel it is. Like, I was like 10 feet away from accidentally leaving the country. And so I'm in a bad spot. But now consider what I have to do to get out of this situation. I am like a kid with no identification because I left my wallet in the truck. I'm a vaguely Hispanic-looking person, and the only way to get out of this scenario is to sprint from the border north as fast as I fucking can.
Incredible.
And so, me being here to talk about this probably tells you how that went. But
congratulations on evading your own nation's border patrol.
Yeah. Almost had to sneak into my own country. Yeah.
Oops, I'm accidentally in Mexico.
I gotta get out of here.
So yeah, this is a big nasty route right here. It makes this long, steep climb from sea level to an elevation of 3,660 feet before descending to El Centro down here, which is at an elevation of negative 43 feet. Yeah. And the terrain is all big, nasty mountains, very little water for men or the steam engines.
I was gonna
right?
say, this is gonna be a bitch to drive.
Very hard, but very unstable, broken, loose granite.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We'll get to the pictures.
The dirt is bad.
Hi, it's Justin. So this is a commercial for the podcast that you're already listening to. People are annoyed by these, so let me get to the point. We have this thing called Patreon, right? The deal is you give us $2 a month, and we give you an extra episode once a month. Sometimes it's a little inconsistent, but, it's $2. You get what you pay for. It also gets you our full back catalog of bonus episodes, so you can learn about exciting topics like guns, pickup trucks, or pickup trucks with guns on them. The money we raise through Patreon goes to making sure that the only ad you hear on this podcast is this one. Anyway, that's something to consider if you have $2 to spare each month. Join at patreon.com/WTYP pod. Do it if you want. Or don't. It's your decision, and we respect that. Back to the show.
So construction begins 1907. They start awarding the contracts, and then there's a big depression almost instantly.
Oh.
Right?
Hey, when this happens.
Yeah, they pause the project, right?
Cool bridge, though.
That's actually the one that burned a couple of years ago.
The other thing is, they show the pictures of like the Chinese bridge girder thing, that like rolls out and then drops the precast concrete segments.
Oh, sure, yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, this is the same thing.
Oh.
Same concept.
Okay.
It's
the bridge that builds itself.
Yeah, it's a very old concept.
Huh.
So, once again, China is not innovating as much as you think it is.
Well,
anyway.
I mean, in fairness, you gotta like give them some credit on the other end of that for shit like gunpowder and paper, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is true, yeah. Also, the fact that they actually still build stuff over there, and we don't do that. The 5 million miles of high-speed rail.
I mean, listen, much like AMLO and the Tren Maya, building, a 500-mile-an-hour maglev train directly through a like Uyghur town is like it's a land of contrasts, right?
At least they're doing something, huh?
But yeah, like Transcontinental Railroad construction by this point, even though it was winding down, like it was much more advanced technologically than it was. You weren't having to carve everything by hand or have, hand carts and wheelbarrows to move dirt. You had, big derricks, steam shovels, steam cranes, a lot more mechanized industry behind it as far as the actual construction of it. But this railroad was plagued with setback after setback of trying to get it done.
Yeah. 1908, economic conditions improved. Actual grading, the actual building the cuts and fills was performed from San Diego into Tijuana and on to Tecate. And then in 1909, Harriman died. Our walrus friend died.
Oh.
And Spreckles immediately lost his main source of financing. The new Southern Pacific guy didn't like him and wouldn't give him money for the San Diego and Arizona Railroad, so he had to start raising his own cash.
It's tough being a sugar baby,
Yeah. Literally a sugar baby. Yeah.
For fuck's sake.
There's more literalisms coming. Don't worry.
That's like sort of like a yearbook quote there. There's more literalisms coming. Don't worry.
I don't like the sound of that.
So by 1910, they had put the rails to the Mexican border. Then 1911, the Mexican Revolution came to Baja.
Oh, hell yeah.
Impeccable timing.
It's like Pancho Villa going like, listen, I got to be on some shit. Sorry about your railroad or whatever,
Yeah, but all the workers on the Mexican side walked off the job.
Hell
so
yeah.
They could go fight each other. Yeah. But that was only a stoppage of about 6 months. They started resuming the work, right?
Oh, outstanding.
So in 4 years of construction, they had made it a whopping 36 miles and reached an elevation of 766 feet.
I like how you have the whole sort of like drama of the Mexican Revolution play out, and they have this comic sideshow of a bunch of guys building the world's most annoying to build railroads.
Yes.
It's just like inching closer to the thing. It's just like, okay.
Today, building 36 miles of railroads in 4 years is impressive, but back then it was not. This is a very, very slow pace of work, right?
Sure.
In 1912, the Southern Pacific filed suit to get their part of the investment in the railroad back.
No.
Something like $3 million, right?
Nope.
Which is a huge sum of money. And John Spreckles fought the lawsuit. He eventually won it, but it still hindered the...
It's like, mods, help. I made a bad investment. I spilled my juice. Help, 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 help.
Help.
I don't think he won the investment until the railroad. I don't think he won the lawsuit until the railroad was completed, if I recall correctly. It was something that was sort of hanging over the railroad the whole time it was being built. And your engineering works are getting tougher. This is at the town of Redondo here. You see this track that comes down over here. It actually has to make a huge balloon loop and come back over here just to gain elevation. This is an area where there's like 10 miles of track to go 4 miles.
Horrid switchbacks, sure.
Yeah. So that's like right around in this area here.
Yep. And in memory, there's only been 2 trains long enough for a locomotive to like see the caboose on the lower track.
Yeah. We'll get to the horrible short trains. Yeah.
Oh, good.
So 1914, the railroad reached Tecate. There was now regular freight and passenger trains running. They had started construction from El Centro at the other end of the railroad in the Imperial Valley, heading west. They did this by purchasing an interurban railroad that operated out of El Centro, and they just converted that to steam trains, right? And they extended that line towards the mountains. Apparently, in 1914, it made sense to run an interurban railroad in the middle of a desert from nowhere to nowhere, and it just existed, so they used it, right? But another problem arose starting in 1914 that would cause major headaches for the railroad, which was World War I.
Oh, boy.
Right? And a good chunk of this railroad was in Mexico. And Mexico had some questionable alliances in World War I, right?
She's Zimmerman on my telegram.
Zimmerman. Yeah.
So a lot of the investments dried up.
She's Zimmerman on my telegram until I assassinate Pancho Villa.
Extremely loud and correct buzzer.
U.S. citizens were actually ordered out of Mexico, but the work somehow continued at a very
With
slow
who?
pace until. All right, this is all Tom.
So everyone likes to joke and say, San Diego either has perfect weather or some say it doesn't have weather. The truth is it has weather once every 60 years and it kills you.
Ah, okay. I mean, I respect that as a sort of temperament.
The weather that kills you instantly.
Yeah.
So in 1915, San Diego had some of the worst droughts it ever did. That'll probably be changed in future years, but this is 1915. So it was hit with severe droughts.
So it was severe giraffes.
Giraffes,
Very cold.
Oh boy,
very
It was
uncomfortably cold.
hit with severe drought, and they were so desperate that they turned to quack science to fix it. They hired someone named Charlie Hatfield, who marketed himself as a professional rainmaker, which more or less amounts to trying to do chemtrails, but in a tree fort instead of an airplane.
Hell yeah.
Hell
Okay.
So the way his contracts would work is that he would claim he would produce like X amount of inches of rain. He did this before with Los Angeles, promising 18 inches of rain. I can't find the exact number for San Diego, but that's how the contracts were set up. But he claimed he could do this between the months of December 1915 and January 1916, which happens to be the wet season of San Diego. It's like betting a kid's going to be born between 39 and 41 weeks.
I mean, this is a good line of work to get into, right?
So it's a great grift. But the contract, similar to Elon Musk with the loop, he would only be paid if he hit the quota for rain that he had to do.
I respect gambling on it at least.
Yeah.
And so January 27th, 1916. In early 1916, San Diego received a record rainfall, which overtopped the Sweetwater Reservoir and burst the dam, flooding everything downhill between East County and downtown San Diego.
He did it too good.
Yeah. Large parts of the county were completely
Get a bonus
flooded.
for destroying the city.
We'll get to the city in a second.
We saved the city.
But much of the SD&A that was built up to that point had been just entirely washed out. Locomotives on their side, buried in mud. You could see in the photo what was left was locomotives up to their grates, trying desperately to maintain service, just in a giant swimming pool of a town.
It's cool. How deep water can a steam locomotive still work? Is my question.
Up until it hits the grates. So you have the firebox, which is above the wheels, and at the bottom of that is either your bed of coal, or in the case of these, your oil jet. And so as long as that can still be above water and still get airflow through it, locomotives can run in flooded tracks and just keep going.
Yeah, steam locomotives are actually much better at waiting than diesel or electric ones. Fun fact.
So the thing is, Hatfield, seeing this town now with a surplus of water, considered his contract fulfilled.
Yeah.
And so then he walked, or I guess swam into City Hall demanding payment.
It's like, listen, if anything, I deserve a bonus, right?
Yeah,
I've exceeded expectations.
Gave you a little extra for free. Are you not pleased?
You seem angry with me.
Yeah, in Hatfield's mind, he had done everything asked of him and then some. However, the city of San Diego never paid him. He was run out of town, forced to change his name, and more or less live the rest of his life as a fugitive. San Diego
for what? The crime of creating too much rain.
Yeah, for what? Yeah. For what? Now you tell me for what.
Show me in the
man
rules.
did nothing wrong.
Exactly.
Yeah, give me the biggest flood you have. No, that's too big.
This is a miscarriage of justice. I'm sorry. That's ridiculous.
But San Diego had received 30 inches of rain in less than a month, which
sounds
is
like a personal problem. Skill issue.
Heaviest rainfall on record for the town before or since.
Yeah, this guy really worked. Like, what do you want?
Yeah.
And when asked what to do about the entire line being wiped out, John Sprickles just replied, "Put it back."
So like with the weary air of a unit director, is like, reset.
Pretty
moral,
much.
Moral
But,
of Hatfield's story is no good deed goes unpunished.
That's right. Yeah.
Ask and you shall receive.
Kind of to a fault, even.
So that was 1916. In 1917, the U.S. enters World War I. Due to tremendous backups and sending men and material overseas, the government nationalized the entire railroad into the United States Railway Administration.
Yeah, it was all it was all backups at the port of New York. I mean, it wasn't even the railroad's fault to some extent, but they did get nationalized, which was good. You know, so they go and they nationalize the entire railroad system. The United States Railroad Administration embarks on this campaign of rationalization, standardization, modernization. It sort of revolutionized the railroad industry, and it made trains faster, cheaper, quicker, so on and so forth, right? And the railroad executives never forgave them for this.
Well, they quite literally took away their train set.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. One of the things was wartime construction of railroads was banned, right? Just outright a blanket ban.
No, got to lick the Kaiser before we can build this railroad.
Exactly.
So to put him on a roll.
Now, John Spreckle has a problem here. His railroad was under construction and he didn't want it to stop. So he went to Washington. He made the case that since his railroad served the naval base at San Diego, it was a military necessity to keep building.
1917. Which side was Japan on in World War One?
Ours.
That's right.
Yeah, exactly. This is a national security thing. Now, somehow no one noticed that the line went through Mexico, which was the Zimmerman telegram country, right?
Very good, Roz. Yes.
Yeah.
Well, they shored all of that up with Carranza anyway. It was fine,
So Spreckles actually managed to get an exemption to the blanket ban on railroad construction, the only one granted in the USRA era, right?
Wow.
Jesus.
San Diego and Arizona remained in private hands and would be allowed to continue to build. Crews reached the foot of the Carrizo Gorge by July of 1918. It's been 7 long years of construction to get 92 miles done, and now they're at the hard part.
Oh, God.
I also want to point out, they were only kept open for the sake of getting the railroad done to serve San Diego, and they have absolutely, at this point, not even started to get it done.
Yeah, they got
completely missed that deadline.
No traffic whatsoever at this point. This is never making any money.
But in this slide, you can definitely see why that was the case.
Yeah. So the gorge here, in terms of difficult terrain, the Carrizo Gorge is a real humdinger, right?
Real humdinger. Is that the technical term?
Yeah, that's the technical term. Yeah. So the mountain is like a 40-degree slope, right? These are granite mountains with this dusting of crushed rock and boulders on top, right?
Oh, that sounds like fun.
So they're both very difficult to tunnel through, but also very prone to landslides.
Looking at that overhang there, and I'm just like, oh, this looks like a good place to get killed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's very hot. It's very dry. In the winter, it's very cold. Sometimes it snows even. Your men and your machines here, you got to contend with very limited water from very few springs in the area. The bench, which is this where the track is laid, sort of the fill and cut there, had to be very narrow, very closely follow the terrain, which meant very sharp curves, very steep grades, lots and lots of tunnels and bridges.
Oh, this looks like it's. I mean, building a railroad always sucks, right? But no, you couldn't pay me.
This is one of the worst ones. We'll get to you couldn't pay me. So the Carrizo Gorge was only about 11 miles long, but this section of track had 17 tunnels, all of which totaled just under 1 mile of length. And it was here that the San Diego and Arizona ran into one of its biggest problems, which was not just the terrain, but labor issues, right?
Huh.
Ooh.
So farm labor in California, then as it is now, is very seasonal. Mm-hmm. Unlike California now, there wasn't this sort of informal quasi-legal indentured servitude situation where you have undocumented immigrants harvest all the produce, right? It was still relatively good work for relatively good pay. So in late fall, all the men would leave the railroad project for more fruitful work in the fields.
So to speak.
Imagine that.
Yeah,
Pun
so to
intended.
speak. Yes. And labor was already scarce, but the war effort compounded the problem. These men were either in the fields of California or the trenches of Europe.
It's like I
Right.
would rather get like blown up in the Merzargon
yeah.
than
Right.
dig another fucking mile of this railroad.
Passchendaele, here I come.
Tom, you wrote this note. Explain.
So the fun thing is, another thing keeping people away from working on this railroad is that all of the encampments where bunks were, cookhouses and beds were, had to be at the foot of the gorge where the only water was, and this was very acrid, very bad water.
It's just like a horrible little creek down there.
Yeah, and you had to hike. It says 100 in the notes, but that should be 1,000 feet uphill just to reach their job site.
Fuck.
Good lord.
And this is in sometimes 110, 120 degree desert heat, walking 1,000 feet uphill just to start digging a tunnel.
Nice casual 1,000-foot climb to start the day. It's bracing,
Brutal.
I'm just imagining being like, oh, well, Europe can't be any worse than this, and then you get to Europe.
You still have ongoing Mexican Revolution. You also have skirmishes between the railroad and the industrial workers of the world.
Hell yeah.
Not someone who the railroad management was a fan of.
Oh no!
I mean, how many railroad managers have been fans of the Wobblies?
This is true. Yeah. Now one of the tunnels was Tunnel 8. It was the eighth tunnel on the line. Yeah. It was about half a mile long. It was the second longest tunnel on the line, and it gave the railroad the most trouble. This tunnel was long enough to require an actual fresh air supply that was provided by a steam air compressor, which of course had to drink water from the horrible little creek 1,000 feet below. There's very, very acute labor shortages, very slow progress, about 15 feet per week. Right?
Oh, fuck that.
Management accused the contractors of slow walking the construction as wartime price controls were hampering their profits. The work site was about half staffed, and during harvest season in the Imperial Valley, workers had to be hired from as far away as Los Angeles. Hey, do you want to leave LA and come work in this horrible little camp next to this horrible little creek?
Would you like the worst job in the world?
Yeah, exactly.
15 feet a week or whatever the fuck.
And so Spreckles kept switching contractors until he found one who did the work at a pace he liked. Right?
Yeah, you find a guy who can climb up 1,000 feet, hit one piece of rock with a pickaxe, and then climb another 1,000 feet down and go to bed.
Exactly. 90 seconds. Do you understand your mission as I've described it?
Just banging the big pipe like Chernobyl, yeah.
Then the Spanish flu hit.
Oh my God.
So by January of 1918, 28 men had died from influenza in the work camps, and workers were being scared off by reports of just how diseased they were. They were uniquely bad. By April 1919, nearly the whole railroad was finished except for this one tunnel. But eventually they managed to haul through.
Amazing.
Wow.
Yeah.
And the railroad, once it was done, did not look pretty. That just, on the left there, you have the grade profile. It's just hella steep up, hella steep down. Yes. And then you'd see these double S-bend curved trestles they had to build where they couldn't even cling to the landside anymore.
Yeah, it's like one of those situations where one rail is on solid ground and the other rail has to be supported by a trestle.
Incredible.
Yeah. So they finished it. It was a bad railroad, but they finished it.
Yeah, not so impossible now, I say, as I die of flu.
Well, thanks for coming. Safety third.
It's mostly just you can see what the actual route looked like versus what it looked like in its advertising.
Yeah.
Just trying to hide the fact that it is the worst railroad
look at
ever.
our really direct route. This is not the case. Yeah.
Yeah.
They made it like less Mexican than it is, apart from anything else.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot more of it in like over the Mexican border that they've squeezed over it.
What's funny is they actually had to dip into Mexico twice, because once they got to El Centro, they took the SP through Mexicali and down through Baja again to get to Yuma.
Amazing.
I was like on one side of the border, it's Mexicali, and on the other side, it's Calexico. I think that's cute.
It's fun.
It's a shorter route, but it's a much worse route.
Next slide, probably. Yeah. So
Hey,
the railroad finally opens. They had almost no fanfare when the first train left San Diego, because to them the idea was the big deal was stuff coming from directly east. So the next day they had a big celebration. Big crowd came to greet the train, as you can see in the photo there.
The very first train.
Yep. The railroad was finished. San Diego had its connection, but it was a slow, windy, steep connection. With a lot of railroads, they often take the acronyms and turn it into a sly nickname. Like the DNRGW was the dangerous and rapidly getting worse.
Yeah.
In this case, the SD&A was the slow, dirty, and aggravating, which is a very apt description. So this railroad was built pretty poorly. It took 13 years compared to the original Transcontinental Railroad, which was finished in 6. Yeah. However, they did offer through Pullman service from San Diego to Chicago over the SP. That's about the only saving grace from it.
Yeah, it's like, okay, I can get a horrible. I can at least get to Chicago over this horrible little railroad in one car,
and in a Pullman car, so you'll be in like pretty decent like
comfort as you go through the worst railroad ever devised by man.
Yeah. As long as you don't look out the window.
And now we need to talk about how this railroad shot itself in the foot from day one.
Like instantly, yeah, but definitely a negligent discharge situation.
Oh, good.
So this top photo is what's called a cab forward. It's a 4882 locomotive the Southern Pacific built for running over the original transcontinental route on Donner Pass. They had a bunch of snow sheds, and that required the stack to be behind the cab so that they didn't suffocate crews. In the bonus episode about the steam locomotive, there's the picture of the guy with the breathing suit so he didn't die in the cab. But these are the size of locomotives that transcontinental railroads were going towards. In the photo below, you could see that the San Diego and Arizona was limited to only a 460 or a 280, which at this point was basically just branch line power. The second locomotive in that shot is the only known record we have of a 462 Pacific going across the line, and they never tried that again.
Oh boy. This was the largest locomotive possible.
This was the largest locomotive available. Yeah, that's right.
And that meant that every train going through the gorge had to be double or triple headed, which doubled or tripled crew costs, increased operational and maintenance costs significantly. And it just meant the railroad was never able to operate efficiently and be able to upgrade itself to have locomotives like that top image. The SD&A required 50 revenue cars of freight per day to break even. They averaged 11. And in later years, much of that was hauling cement for the construction of Interstate 8, which now bypasses the route.
Oh, real training your replacement moment.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
If there was any saving grace of the San Diego and Arizona, it's that they never killed a paying passenger.
However, put that on the posters.
This is partially due to limited ridership and the fact that they just ran from nowhere to nowhere.
You will live on the San Diego and Arizona.
You'll hate it, but you will be alive.
But you will live. Hey,
we guarantee you will still be a living human being by the end of this ride.
Next slide definitely shows even more of how bad of a railroad this was, because God hates the San Diego and Arizona.
Yes.
So both of these pictures were not how the route was originally built.
Oh boy.
Justin, do you want to take this one?
Yeah, let me take this one. Okay, so the first signs of trouble here happen shortly after the railroad's opening, which is Tunnel 7 was covered in a landslide in 1920. Subsequent inspection found the whole face of the mountain had collapsed. It all had to be dug out and stabilized. This cost $250,000 and a month to fix. This is also where I believe this particular curve originates from to bypass the old Tunnel 7. You can see that these passenger cars are kind of in a zigzag way.
Yeah.
To get an idea of how sharp this is, there are portions of this where the right of way of the new San Diego and Arizona is sharper than the main line of the DNRGW narrow gauge.
Yeah, this is like what a series of 26-degree curves.
I think they widened it to 20 at some point, but yeah, these were insanely sharp.
A degree of curvature here, I believe, refers to whatchamacallit, the amount of curvature in like 100-foot chord. So the bigger number, the sharper the curve. Right now, I think in like railroad yards, the standard is 12. Is the worst curve you can do, and they're like, nah, this is 26 degrees. That's fine.
It looks uncomfortable, but hey, never killed anybody, so clearly it's fine, and we're all being pussies.
Okay, so then there was a bunch of flash flooding, took out large sections of the railroad in 1926. Then again in 1927, the railroad was out of service for a month each time. 1932, there was a fire that destroyed Tunnel 3, which had to be completely rebuilt at a cost of $157,000 in 45 days. And right when it was finished, heavy rains caused a landslide that blocked Tunnel 15. This was deemed unable to be repaired. So instead, they built a new alignment, including the world's largest wooden trestle, the Goat Canyon trestle. This took 3 months. It is now all over Instagram and various other like abandoned places, clickbait websites. They built that in 3 months.
Why though? For like the failing, non-profitable, non-strategic railroad.
Oh well, the thing is, they built that, but they also had to dig a new Tunnel 15 to get around the mountain.
And when they finished it, Tunnel 7 caught fire. That was abandoned.
What's catching fire and just on its own?
They used timber tunnel linings.
Okay.
Yeah.
But the thing is, they had to use timber instead of steel or concrete in a lot of these cases because they worried the temperature change in the Carrizo Gorge was so extreme that any steel bridges or steel infrastructure would buckle.
It would just melt steel beams.
Yeah, they had to do it all out of California redwood timber.
Oh my god! Wow. Okay, so we lost a bunch of redwoods for this. Also, cool.
This is the railroad that just destroys everything.
Yeah,
can't have shit in San Diego.
The railroad that kills you instantly.
I mean, like we've been joking about like the interplay of like regional powers in Southern California. The real fuck you to Northern California. It's like we took a bunch of your redwoods for this.
Yeah. Now John Spreckles had died in 1926. At this point, his estate said, "To hell with this." They sold the whole thing to the Southern Pacific. The Southern Pacific was unsure about what to do with this very slow and very expensive to maintain railroad, but kept it around. It was just barely breaking even until World War II and the massive surge in traffic that accompanied it, right? So all of a sudden, it was like, oh, maybe we do need this railroad. Anyway, that World War II ended and all the traffic dried up, so it was still shitty. Passenger service was abandoned in 1951, and the line was dieselized in that same year. I think we also neglected to mention earlier one of the early saving graces of the railroad was that Prohibition happened, and everyone wanted to take the train to Tijuana.
It's like you just get drunk at the racetrack there.
Yeah. And but it's still running, right? So after that, it suffers from being a late entry to the Transcontinental Railroad game. Never received the sort of investment that other lines did. The curves were never straightened. Structures were never really improved. And in fact, owing to washouts, the quality of the right-of-way actually got worse over time, which is a big problem because freight cars started getting bigger. Locomotives started getting heavier. They could still run on the San Diego and Arizona, but only very slowly. There were very common derailments. Cleanup on those derailments was almost impossible. You saw those boxcars left there for 50 years before. So the SD&A never really paid its way. And then in 1976, Hurricane Kathleen managed to whack right into Southern California and severely damaged the whole line. Right, everything was broken.
God hates it.
Which is hilarious because, like, in America, we don't really think about Pacific Ocean hurricanes because most of them just go away from the U.S. But in 1976, Hurricane Kathleen just did the ever-given thing of drew a dick in the ocean and then went straight for Carrizo Gorge.
Southern Pacific decided to hell with this. They sold the line to the San Diego Metropolitan Transit Development Board, which runs the San Diego Trolley. And they leased it to something called the Kyle Railroad.
Punches holes in drywall and runs trains through them.
We'll get to drywall.
We'll get to drywall, yeah. So, yeah, trains were not running again until 1981, but they did fix it up and start running the trains again. And then a landslide closed Tunnel 16 in 1983.
Why bother? Just let nature take it back.
The American side of the line through Carrizo Gorge stood dormant until 2004 when the Carrizo Gorge Railroad leased it from San Diego, started rehabilitating bridges and tunnels, and they ran trains full of propane and sand over the line. And this worked pretty good until 2009 when Tunnel 3 caught fire and collapsed.
Oh my God.
Tunnel 6 also collapsed shortly afterwards.
And I believe Tunnel 21 is in the process of collapsing.
Just leave it alone.
Just leave it, right.
Just give up.
The Mexican side of the line was, until very recently, leased by the Baja California Railroad, which is owned by a Mexican boxing promoter.
Cool.
Okay.
Question mark?
You know, there's still some traffic on the line, but not over the whole thing because you can't get through Carrizo Gorge anymore.
Mm-hmm.
But at some point, you have to ask, okay, why? Why are you trying to
do this?
Bring this one back on this alignment? You know,
all this Herculean effort, and we have to ask, what are we left with?
Yeah, what are we left with?
And we still have the Tecate Brewery, which is still served by rail over the Tijuana-Tecate section.
Oh, okay. Well, that's kind of worth it. I mean,
we're going to go back through San Diego and up, and then through Los Angeles and over.
And again, you have an ocean like right there.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
On the other side, you have the source of all of America's drywall, U.S. gypsum plant at Plaster City.
Real normative determinism there, apart from anything else.
Yep. Yeah. Which it's really funny to me that a railroad servicing a massive drywall plant was served by Kyle Railways.
Yeah.
Vertical integration.
Yeah. I'm just this is like one of those things that you just learn about America. It's like, oh yeah, you mean the one plant that makes all of the drywall? It's like what?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Plaster City.
Narrow gauge loops back into this story because the only remaining 3-foot industrial freight railroad in the U.S. still runs between Plaster City and the actual mine up in the Fish Creek Mountains.
Amazing.
They run like 3-foot Alco diesels on that now.
The whole American economy is centrally unplanned. You're just like, yeah, we're gonna like have like a very slow, very lumbering way of making it completely unpredictable and vulnerable.
But most importantly, we also have a city that, for all of its money and resources dumped into every attempt to change this, still does not have a direct rail connection east.
Hope and seethe. I mean, like, genuinely, live with being a port. Just live with it. Just, like, it's fine being it's quite nice, actually. You have a lovely harbor, I think.
Yeah. Well, they do shipbuilding down there, and they have the Navy down there, but the port is kind of mediocre. Everything goes into Los Angeles.
Oh, well, in that case, cope and seethe. Cope and seethe.
Sorry, you just have to enjoy excellent weather for 99% of the time until it kills you instantly.
Yeah, the one time every 60 years when you get the fuck out of San Diego.
Mm-hmm. Once again, demanding, if you are the mayor or the Chamber of Commerce or the Tourist Board of San Diego, if you give me a bunch of free shit, I will say nice things about your city.
Mo, your city sucks, and I definitely would not like to be put up
Especially
at the
not
Coronado
all expenses
Hotel
paid,
for a
right?
week.
Of course.
Yeah, I would not enjoy an all expenses paid vacation.
We cannot be
Heavily
to San
subsidized
Diego.
live show. Yeah.
We have morals or whatever.
Yeah.
That's right.
So the San Diego and Arizona is interesting because we know for certain that you can build railroads in the mountains and have them work. You know, Switzerland is
Yeah.
absolutely crisscrossed by some of the best railroads in the world. It's just you gotta do you gotta plan it, you gotta do it right. It can't just be one person's, pet project for personal enrichment and for ego. It has to be something with the cornerstones properly laid to actually serve the communities.
Yeah, there's a question of whether there was ever an alternative future for the San Diego and Arizona. And if you look at like Swiss railways and like they've had long-term continuous programs of modernization, as opposed to here in the United States where it's like you build it once and then it's like that's the railroad you got. There was an alternate future where this railroad worked. We just don't live in it.
Oh,
Yeah, that was a real point of like major divergence,
Yeah.
We would be living in the like utopian future society flying car picture had, they modernized this somehow.
Yeah,
San
exactly.
Diego got a proper railroad.
If they had built a base tunnel, like the Swiss did in the 80s for everything. It's always funny going through like the Swiss railroad network, and you find out there's this 10-mile tunnel they built in the 80s for a narrow gauge train, and you're like, what?
Yeah, you got to get the over unter hinter gerunter berger gebirge.
we will not be giving the Jews back their gold.
Bahn, from one town of 3,000 people to another town of like 1,500 people.
Yes.
That takes up like 10% of the federal government's budget, and that's just the way it should be.
And it comes every 5 seconds, and it gets you there in like 2 seconds. Yeah,
If you drop like
a
single particle of dirt on the floor of the train, they just vaporize you instantly.
And you deserve it.
Yeah. Switzerland's cool.
Yeah.
It's not cool. It sucks. Although I could be persuaded to change my mind for a sort of like hefty subsidized
sort of this all expenses paid vacation. I would not take that.
Basically, I haven't had a vacation in about a decade and a half, like proper like foreign one, and I kind of feel like
not enjoy being put up in a hotel in Zurich for 2.5 weeks.
No, I would hate that.
That would be really bad. Yeah.
Well, as you've learned, we have desert Switzerland at home.
I don't want to go to desert Switzerland at home. I want to go to normal Switzerland.
Well, what did we learn?
Nothing.
Don't
Absolutely
spit
nothing.
in God's eyes.
Yeah.
Please invite us.
Learn to read the room.
Yeah, invite us or at least me on heavily subsidized fact-finding missions.
Yeah, please.
I
want to go with you. I can be your yeah.
Assistant.
Someone wants to pay you to climb 1,000 feet to hit.
Well, you don't think I could be Alice's assistant, dickhead?
Loose rock with a hammer. Don't do it. All right. Well, we have a segment on this podcast called Safety Third.
No, we don't.
Shake hands for danger.
Cool truck.
Yes. Hello, Justin, and yay, Liam and Alice. I realized
no guest. Wrong.
I was never here.
The plausibly deniable guest.
I realized this story makes me look like an idiot.
Those
are the best ones.
Yeah. I used to do concrete field testing, and one morning as the sun was rising after a 1 a.m. pour, I was approaching the pump truck to grab the concrete truck tickets. The tickets are generally on the left side of the pump truck for the tester, and I could see them, but one of the stabilizing legs of the pump truck was lifted. I was trying to figure out what kind of pump truck this was, and I don't know. This is just a picture I found. This wasn't totally out of the ordinary, since the pump truck drivers would leave the trucks like that fairly often for whatever reason, but despite being an idiot, I still scoped out the area a little. I watched for a minute or two. The leg didn't move. The truck driver was nowhere in sight. Maybe he went to the bathroom or something, or he saw the tickets on the side of the truck and is waiting for me. I didn't know, but it seemed fine. The sight was loud, but I'm sure I'd hear the legs if it started retracting. So I walk up to have a look at the tickets and page through them to make sure they're all there. And someone comes up behind me and puts their hand on my back around my shoulder blades.
Oh no.
I kind of laugh, thinking it's the foreman or something, or some worker being a weirdo, and before I can turn around, I get shoved in the back.
Did you do the like Hollywood like slasher movie Billy stop playing thing with a fucking hydraulic arm?
Hydraulic arm.
Yes.
Now I was really confused. I turned my head, and surprise, surprise, is the stabilizing leg directly in my face.
Uh-huh.
Oh boy.
I do a quick mental calculation and decide that trying to duck under would probably get my head crushed like a watermelon. I made a ridiculous attempt to push back against the leg with my back, which obviously had no effect. I look to my left and I see no one. I physically can't turn to look behind me at this point. I look to my right at the rearview mirror on the front of the truck to check the cab, and it's empty. I'm getting squeezed, so I scream, "Hey!" because I can't really form more complicated of a thought than that. And then I screamed it a few more times. I twisted my head to the right again as I'm starting to get really squeezed, and right fucking there, 10 feet away, slightly behind the other side of the leg, is the pump truck driver.
Oh boy.
He looks at me like he saw a ghost. I start to really brace myself against the squeeze. For what? And he runs 5 steps over to the side of the truck where there is, thankfully, about 8-ish feet to my right, an emergency stop button on the outside. I remember wondering how bad I was about to get squished before he could get to the cab to stop it. The leg stopped and then slowly edged back out. I lived. The pump truck driver helpfully relates an anecdote about forgetting a steel Yeti cup on the side of the truck that got crushed by one of the legs retracting, and asked me why I went inside the legs when they were moving. I would like to reiterate that I didn't do that. I'm not that much of an idiot. Now my back hurts and I'm shaking. I fist bump him for saving my life. I get in my car and I call my parents on the way home. The end.
Incredible. Congratulations on not getting squished like a bug.
Not getting.
You survived human Tetris. Well done.
Well done.
Love the show. Love you all. Have a good rest of your summer. From Rick.
Thanks, Rick. Please try to never have that happen again.
Yeah, please don't.
Stay safe.
Does not happen to you. Yeah. Well, that was safety third.
Shake hands with danger.
Someone does have a commercial.
Yeah, this is where I asked for the commercials, and Tom has a big one.
Hi, I'm Tom, and so I've been working with a whole bunch of other people who love narrow gauge trains on a new video game called Century of Steam. It's a physics-based multiplayer railroad simulator and strategy game being made by myself, Mark Huber, and many other devoted experts in the field, including locomotive engineers and crews, railroad historians, and a team of 2D and 3D artists and coders. We are the first game to figure out polling, which Justin was super excited to see on Twitter.
Yes, I'm very excited for the polling. Everyone should be excited for polling. This is a revolution in train simulation.
But yeah, we want to make a train game. We want to do it right, and we have a Patreon set up. Also check out our trailer on the Studio 346 channel. If you want to see our dev videos, we have one all about how Mark made like the most accurate whistle simulation in any game. You could see that on patreon.com/Studio346 and get those vids early. We're also the first train game to have, or at least multiplayer train simulator of this type, to have like runtime terrain deformation, actual plowing of snow that accumulates and can be plowed off the track. Funnily, no one really cared about that in the trailer. They all just lost their minds at the stick. And the amount of...
Everyone wants the poll.
The amount of Teddy Roosevelt memes that we saw with the big stick just absolutely made our day. So we're excited to work on this. We've still got a ways to go before it's done, but we're hoping that this is a train game that no one has ever seen or fathomed before.
Yeah, I'm extremely excited for it. I think this is from what I've seen, this is already the greatest train simulator out there, even though I haven't played it yet. But it's good. It's going to be good.
Ringing endorsement, though.
Well, if you would like to have a little taste of what it's like to run a train in our game, we will be at the National Narrow Gauge Convention in Denver in about a month. So if you're going there, check out the Studio 346 booth. We'll have a demo where you can run a locomotive there.
Ooh.
And that's all I got for this. Thank you so much for having me on.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh, our pleasure.
Yeah, it was very good.
I was sober this time. So.
All right. Our next episode will be about Chernobyl. Does anyone have any commercials before we go?
Oh, listen to all of our other stuff. You already know who we are. If you don't, whatever. Bye.
Yeah. Sign up for the Patreon.